Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the wrap-up show. I'm John Hine. Gary's making his way over with Artie. 888-STERN-100, 888-783-7610. That's the number to call. Today's show is basically about the roast. We had Evil Dave sit in. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and also the little tiff that Robin and Gary got into. But first and foremost, we've got to talk about the Carver roast. Joining us is the organizer and man responsible, Reverend Bob Levy.
I like that. I'm the one responsible. I'm the one responsible after they change it on me.
And also,
he was the third pilot.
And also someone who I thought killed, who's outside the Howard family, is Lisa Lampanelli joins us. How you doing,
buddy?
Lisa?
Oh, I'm good. I was sweating a little in that room, though, at first, watching it.
What do you mean?
It was hardcore, man. It's tough. I mean, you got a guy who nobody likes. If you're going to be roasting someone, it's nice to have a likable guy who can make a nice comeback at the end, but, he's a very weird-looking dude with this cape and hood, and it's very disgruntling, even for someone who talks shit like I do about the blacks.
Now, Bob, what do you mean that they changed it up on?
Well, I definitely thought it was too early to do Daniel. I thought we should have done Scott because he's a likable guy, and the roast, you want to fuck with people. You want to have a good time.
And the discussion about that was, you did Ralph, you did Ronnie, you do Scott. It's all the same stuff. It's an inside guy. It's the same crap. Like even Artie said, you get 5 guys, 6 guys to roast Scott, you could pretty much write the jokes. They're all going to be the same jokes. Scott's good for doing down the road, but it's sort of too similar to what we've been doing.
But I think Daniel's impossible to roast like somebody that's like him because even the audience would just stare at him and it's such a weird thing in there. I just thought it was very hard to do him.
There was definitely a weird vibe in the studio, and it really started with your argument, Gary, this morning with Robin. It never went away.
Well, and it was weird because the argument was, if you weren't listening, that we had decided that it would be a better idea if Daniel sat in Robin's booth. Because I just didn't know what the audience was going to be like. I didn't know what the comedians were going to be like. Daniel's a volatile guy, and it just could be weird. So Robin didn't realize till yesterday that we were going to move her out of there, and she seemed very offended by it. And, I mean, there's a million times I've moved her out of her booth, and I haven't told her in advance. I'll just be like, hey, I'm moving you out for a little while. She was pissed off by this, and I don't know why. I don't know why it was such a big issue.
Now, one of the things at the end of the show, Artie and everyone was talking about who they would pick, if you had to cut it, who would be the best ones, and it was essentially Shuli, Sal, Artie, Yucko, and Lisa, which is everybody who's really a regular part of the show. And Lisa and I were talking a little bit beforehand. I don't care who you are, even if you've done a million roasts, you're walking into the Howard Stern show. You haven't done it before. That's intimidating to begin with. And you have a guy, you have to... Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan next year.
Yeah, but I got to interrupt because you know what? Fuck these comics. Here's the deal. You know what? I do this for a living. Bob does it for a living. Artie does it for a living. If you're gonna not be prepared and you're not gonna write jokes like this counts, they can go F themselves. Because just because it doesn't pay, it pays in a big league. To be in a room with Howard Stern, it pays off big time. So I hate unprepared comics, and I'm not a racist, but I will tell you that every time... No, I'm a racial insult comic. But I will tell you that every time I've done a roast with a black... They never fucking prepare. Eddie Griffin sucked a dick at the Pam Anderson roast. The freaking black's on today. Except for Earthquake. It was a very funny exchange at the end with him and Daniel. You gotta write the goddamn jokes and deliver them. Do the work like the white people.
Well, it's a good thing you're not racist, guys.
You know that there's people that traveled from the West Coast just to do this roast. Mm-hmm. And some of the people, we sent them some of Daniel Carver's messages as well as some portions of the last roast. So if you weren't familiar with it, I mean, I didn't want anybody walking into this room unprepared for what was going to happen.
No, first of all, Lisa makes a good point. You got to be prepared. As a matter, the funniest thing, the whole roast, right before, the roast was an hour and 20 minutes long, and I was sitting next to Earthquake. An hour and 20 minutes into it, he was slouching the whole time, and I love Earthquake, but he gets up and he says to me, "He got a piece of paper?"
Yeah, and he had 2 jokes written on it, and he didn't even bring them up. It was so funny.
Really funny. But that being said, I think that being a regular part of the show, like me, Sal, and Shuli, you have a way bigger advantage. I really do. We know you know inside jokes about people. You know more Daniel details. You just have it easier. And we all went first at those 3 guys.
All right, so I got a question for you, Artie. If your agent called you and he said, "Listen, Jimmy Kimmel's doing a roast next week. He wants you to fly out there. He's roasting his Uncle Sal.
Right.
Jimmy's got his Uncle Sal as a regular on the show. Are you flying out there without knowing anything about Uncle Sal and getting up and doing jokes?
No, you're right. No, I would definitely prepare and research and stuff like that. And it's funny, like I've roasted Hugh Hefner and Donald Trump with Lisa. We both did that. And they're big public figures, but it's funny when you do have to still do research on it and figure stuff out to be prepared. So Lisa makes a good point, but I still think we have an advantage being here every day.
I thought Gilbert actually had a funny line about it. Jim, clip number 1.
Gilbert Gottfried, or as Hitler would call him, Exhibit A. All right. Daniel, this is a Jewish man. A Jewish man.
Hey, Gilbert. Yeah, I've met him before several times.
Yes.
Oh, really? You two friends?
Yeah, he likes me.
He likes you, yeah.
He's going to make some jokes, but he likes me.
Yes, Daniel, I'm going to be doing what they call in the hood gagging on you. See, that's what we call it in the hood, gagging on you. And you small dick motherfucker, because your dick is small, and that's why you're a racist.
Now, you should point out that Corey Holcomb had gone a couple before him, and Corey Holcomb's opening line was, we're going to do what we call in the hood gagging on you, which nobody knew what that meant.
But there was a lot of, dick jokes and other jokes that really could have been applied, it seemed, to anybody. Like, you didn't need Daniel Carver for those jokes. And those who did go after Daniel, I thought, fared better. Like Shuley, he's joined us right now. You went right for him, Shuley, and good for you.
But I gotta be honest, even though being with the show and knowing Daniel throughout the years, it was tough writing for him because you only have so much to work with. He's okay. So you bang your sister, you live in a mobile home, or once you got that, where are you gonna go from there? So it was tough. I felt that writing for everybody else on the dais was a lot easier than writing for Daniel.
And I noticed that you were probably, out of all the roasts that you've done, you probably went heavier with your material for the people on the dais, and this was the lightest you went for the guy sitting in the chair.
Absolutely, without a doubt. It was tough for me, man, even though I was going first. And also the other thing was I didn't want to just write jokes and take good jokes from other comics they would have to cross out because I used a reference to a motorhome. If they have a better joke than I do about him living in a motorhome, I don't want to screw it up for him, so... It was tough, man. It was tough.
The thing is, too, we're comics, but we don't want to come off, like we agree with him.
Right.
But yet we make racial jokes in our acts and in real life, so it's a very fine line between it.
That's the only two angles you could take. You either goof on the guy for what he is, or you side with him, which is kind of the angle Sal took, which was funny.
Well, and that brings me to another point. Do you guys think that everyone that was sitting on the dais sort of got it? Did they get the joke? Because at some point, I was wondering if some people were like, wait a minute, this isn't funny. There's a lot of weird jokes going on here.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, just the fact that, a good portion of the dais didn't even write anything to come in and roast the guy. Like
that was just weird. That's freaking unforgivable, dude. I'm sorry. Be a professional.
I was interviewing for the news. I said it was a tough writing for Daniel, and like Earthquake was like, be honest with you, I'm just going to... He goes, call me crazy, but I think I can wing it.
They always say that. The blacks have a thing with wings.
Yucko, you were there also, and you did on the first two roasts, you took a lot of crap because, it seemed like you didn't prepare and it didn't go very well. Today, I thought you pretty much killed. How did you feel?
It was horrible. I hate my life. No, it was a lot better, I thought.
Your horn kept things going for a while.
Yeah, really.
Hey, could you do me a favor? Could you go put on the makeup so you're not so creepy like this?
He's more scary
See,
now.
but I thought Yucko did good the first two roasts, too. I don't know. Sometimes people have opinions about sets, and I'm like, what the fuck were you watching? He did very well, both.
What was a funny moment in this roast was Artie, I was sitting in between Artie and Sal, and when I was up there, Artie had made like a comment towards me or something when I was up there. He interrupted my set, and he tells me, when I get back, he goes, listen, I just want to tell you it was wrong for me to do that, and I apologize. Comics shouldn't speak out. And then continued to do that for the rest of the roast to every other comic.
Well, quite frankly, somebody had to do something.
I don't blame you, man. I hear you.
Well, the funniest thing, or the most tense stuff, was Judy Gold and Angry Black getting into a screaming match because she just didn't get it, and she takes it very serious, and this guy's yelling. It got out of control. But that's fun to listen to.
Angry Black, I usually like him. He annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah, what happened? He just
snapped? Really did. He annoyed me today.
He pulled me over to the side, and he said, listen, if you get a chance, let me get near the mic because I got a beef with Lisa Lampanelli. So I wasn't holding the mic on his head, so I thought his beef was going to be, you like to sleep with black guys, why not him? I couldn't figure out what it was. But then when he sort of, pulled Judy into the whirpool, I couldn't figure it out at all.
No, he just
wanted to talk. That's
he just wanted to talk. He wanted airtime,
Yeah.
And, it's just shtick with that guy. Come on.
But I don't think Judy understood that.
No, but that's the sad part.
Why today did he piss you off? Like you say, you like.
No,
him in
I usually
general.
do like him, but today he was just really, I think, out of line. Not that you could ever be out of line on this fucking show, but it was like just too much.
It wasn't,
like Judy Gold. I know Judy. I really like Judy a lot as a person, and I think she took unnecessary shit from him.
Yeah, it's okay to me. It's interesting. You can bash someone if you could be funny doing it or you had a point, but he didn't seem to be funny or have a point.
Yeah.
He just seemed to be
And it
bashing
definitely threw her off totally because she's a funny person.
Yeah, without a doubt. She's a pro.
Yeah, by
and
the
then
way-
when somebody's screaming stuff at you, it's hard to concentrate.
That was the other line of the day when Earthquake called her Ronnie Cycly.
For all the Syracuse fans.
Exactly.
Tim in Nashville, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, guys, I love the wrap-up show, man. You do a great job. Listen, if you guys were to edit anything to do with the show, it would kind of be like when you hear stories about, like, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions, and then you go to watch it on VH1, and they edit all the good stuff out.
But here's the deal. We've already played it, and we're telling you what we're doing. We're being really upfront. We're having this discussion like stream of consciousness. Not like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you don't get to hear it. You've already heard it.
Right.
And we're just trying to decide whether to play it again.
But what about people who haven't heard it, though?
Well, that's why when we first started talking about these roasts, one of the things we said was that what you don't see in a roast is somebody bombing. And that's what would be great about this. You never get to see the uncomfortableness of somebody bombing. And today, you saw it a lot. And I think that's interesting.
We just wanted to save it for one show and do it all at once.
It was a very uncomfortable feeling. I was like looking for an exit.
I will tell you right now, if you watch this on Howard TV, you'll see right behind where the people go up to roast, there's a wall. And I was standing there with a microphone, but at times, when you see me duck behind the wall, it means I'm so embarrassed at what's going on that I don't want to be seen.
Ouch. Cringe.
And I'm not even telling the jokes. No, but it was like I don't know where to look to try to look interested, so I just went behind the wall.
Steve in Jersey, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, guys, what's up? I got to say, I enjoyed the roast today, and, I think Daniel was happy, too. He doesn't have to lynch any of those black comedians, because most of them died right there on stage.
Good one.
Hey, Gary,
Yeah.
I heard when you told Daniel that Howard wanted to roast the most ignorant bigot in the history of the show, Daniel said, well, I think it'd be funny, too, but you think Artie could take it?
All right, 1 for 2 is excellent.
Where's the horn, Yucko?
You're batting 500, Ted Williams.
Did Daniel actually say that?
Yes, he did, Artie.
Daniel,
with that exact cadence, by the way.
Daniel seemed to fare pretty well. I mean, he held his own for the most part.
And Lisa and I were talking about this in the green room. See, the interesting thing about Daniel is Daniel's sort of Teflon. You can't rile him up. He doesn't get angry. He's almost taken passive resistance and brought it on himself, meaning he'll sit there and he'll just say, you're the N-word, you're the N-word, you're animals, you're this and you're that, and let the other person get angry. And then he goes, see, you're an animal because you get angry? And he's unflappable. He can't be riled up.
Well, I think a few times he mentioned how much he likes going to comedy shows and how much he enjoys comedy.
Well, he did see Larry the Cable Guy health inspector.
I like clowns.
That whole Larry the Cable Guy thing.
He said I like clowns. That was a little
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Well, that was creepy.
Well, I interviewed him after the roast. I went in and interviewed him, and he said that Yucko was his favorite, that he had seen him a couple times.
He just liked him in blackface.
You know what his favorite TV show is? All jokes aside.
What?
He says he likes cartoons. That's what he likes.
Yeah.
He likes cartoons, so it's a very strange thing.
Today, all jokes aside.
Fred, how did you think the vibe in the room was today?
I can count on one hand the really great comedians in there today, and my condolences to Bob Levy, because I know how hard he works putting these things together. I was sitting there the entire time going like, this guy sucked, this guy sucked, this guy sucked, and Bob's going like, shit, motherfucker, God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
Bob,
can I say something?
we don't hold you responsible
No,
for it, by
this is the
way.
whole thing.
I know how hard Bob works, and I know he puts together these roasts. By the way, Lisa was probably number 1, Artie number 2. I see Sal was number 3, but he'll be an asshole if I say he is. So I'm going to put Julie ahead of him, and then maybe Sal last.
There you go, pal.
The whole
for
thing
the
was-
record, it wasn't Levy's idea to roast Daniel Carver. It was ours.
No.
By the way, I also think that there is a rumor going around, or a theory, that it may have been Scott's black cloud that was like
Exactly.
hovering over this
He
roast.
came up to me and he goes, "You
That
see what
just
happens?"
Totally killed it.
But Bob, do you think there were too many people?
No, okay, this is what I think.
Yes.
Of course there is, but we just kept adding because other people said yes at the end. We didn't know, you know what I mean?
But do you think that, and constructive, I'm not taking a shot at you. Do you think there's a point where if you get an earthquake Earthquake and you get a Corey Holcomb
coulda had an
who has some sort of name value.
Yeah, we could. I mean,
you could have told other guys on. Hey,
Yeah,
listen,
no, yeah.
We're gonna for this one. We're gonna let you sit out. We'll bring you back for another one because we've got a dozen guys on the day.
Yeah, because I just thought, like, you know, what I heard, we want a lot of black comedians. You know what I mean? It's like we wanted gay comedians. So now I got to find a gay comedian that can roast. Now I got to find a lesbian that can roast. I need my guys that I bring in that know how to do this shit every time.
But you got to mix it up. We agree that you can't. It's not the same when you go to see a Friars Club roast. It's not. There's a core.
There's a core. That's my core.
But the core is getting to be the same people all the time. You want to bring some new people in.
Yeah.
And you just, you don't know how it's going to go. There's no way to know in advance that doing a roast live is going to kill from end to end. It's impossible.
Yeah. But I mean, I know with my guys that know the show, they can write this stuff. I didn't want to keep Florentine out. I didn't want to keep Mike Morse or Don Jameson out because they know the show. They know how to roast. You know, then you add a few other people in. That's why I just thought it was too quick for Daniel, and it was going to, we're taking chances with people.
But you have a line of Artie, Lisa, Earthquake, Gilbert Gottfried. I mean, everybody thought going in it was going to be killer.
Yeah, so did I. I mean, yesterday I go, this is going to be unbelievable, I was saying.
I got to tell you, I saw Howard TV had you guys all lined up against the wall, and I walked in and I said to Howard, you know what? This actually looks like a real roast.
Yeah,
like the caliber of the people that were, Judy and Lisa and Gilbert. I'm going, this is an Earthquake. I'm like, damn, this is like a real roast.
Well, here's Bob's problem. I've told him this in the back. He's the nice. You guys don't know this. He's the nicest fucking guy in the business, which is what breaks my heart because he can't fucking say no to anybody. I would have kicked 3 of those freaking people off the minute Earthquake said yes or Corey Holcomb. I'm like, you're out. You do it next time, and then you never put them on. So Lisa, you keep lying to them and deluding them. You're too goddamn nice. That's all I have to say about you.
So because they're all bigger than him, he's afraid they'll never let him work again.
No, nobody's bigger than me on comedy. Okay? But no, it's like, we thought we'd do a few minutes each, and it wouldn't, it ran an hour and 15, an hour and 20. It's like if it would have hit, it would have hit. It would have been fucking. I would have been God then. Now I'm a fucking douchebag that fucking
been an entity.
Exactly. Then Sal would have been stalking me. But the whole thing.
Exactly. So that brings us to the conversation, which I just want to throw around the room. Fred, starting with you. Do you edit it? Like a guy called up before and he said, well, if we edit it, then, we're being hypocrites. And I said, no, we already let it air. Right. So we're not hypocrites. But
my first impulse was to say, edit this fucker. Edit it down to, like, its essential hour. However, this may end up being like one of those things where everybody goes, listen, you got to sit down. It's like,
is this our Jerry Lewis movie?
What was that movie that was about dancers and shit like that?
Showgirls.
What's that?
Showgirls.
Right. It could be another Showgirls. It could have that kind of cult status.
So bad
this
it's
show
good.
could be so bad it's good. Everybody gather your friends, especially like on the pay-per-view thing that we've got going on in demand. People are going to sit there and go, wait a minute, this is going to be the worst joke. You got to watch this over and over and over again.
Because what's going to happen is it's going to air again after the news today, and then it's going to air 2 more times today. And that's it. And then after that, we are going to edit it. We always were going to edit it into an hour show. So you really have only till tomorrow morning before we start at 6 to hear it again. And then it's sort of gone forever unless we pull it out because it got that cult status.
It's sort of like fucking a fat chicken and realize somebody filmed this shit and they're going to play it. I mean, that's what fucking happened to us today.
Don't tell us your worries.
Hey, Joe in Boston, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, Joe. What's on your mind?
This was a lot like the Chevy Chase roast, where nobody was Daniel's friend.
Well, that's true. Nobody knew Chevy. Nobody knew Daniel. But, I mean, how much do you need to know about Daniel? The guy's the grand wizard of his own KKK. What do you need to know?
All right, so, guys,
let me just say this, though. When there was no dynamic. Like, how like you're ripping on friends, and, you all know it's a joke. Daniel was kind of like outside of the circle where you just had people who were going to, like, hate on him. And there was this automatically, it was just like, all right, is Daniel going to get pissed off? Are black people going to get pissed off? And then there was no fun to it. You know what I'm saying? It was just like all mean-spirited.
Well, it wasn't fun because Lisa brought it up, and I guess this is something we need to learn. There was no fun to it because you don't like the person being roasted. If you like that person, it's funny, you're like, oh, and you sort of follow up, or that was a good one, or there's a little give and take, and that just didn't exist today.
Well, there's also a difference when the comics are, like, making nigger jokes, let's say, and then Daniel says, you're just a nigger. Like, there's two different connotations, obviously, to that.
I think the earth just stopped. John Hine used the N-word twice in 10 seconds.
That was hot.
The room just stopped. My breath went out of my chest.
Lisa's moving closer to me, actually.
I've never seen a nerd do that.
Well, he knows the door's locked.
Comfortable, Mr. Hine.
But, Artie, you were about to say, like, what joke would you have written? What joke did you do today that you were able to do because you know Daniel better? You know what I
because
mean?
I know Daniel better.
Like you were going to say that we have an advantage because we know him better, but there wasn't a joke that you could.
Well, for instance, I know what is. I mentioned his wife, and I've met her. I know what she looks like. I know, you know what I mean.
But people did wife jokes, and you didn't need to meet her to do a wife joke,
right?
Well, the other, I mean, look, but if you're going to roast the guy, that's my point. You're going to roast the guy in the Klan. There's a couple of subjects you have to go with, and then it just gets limited. It's racism, it's the sheet, whatever, and then by the fifth guy, all the jokes are done. It's hard to go late in a roast. It really is.
All right, we got to take a break. You're listening to the Wrap-Up Show on Howard 100 and Howard 101.
You're listening to the Morning Wrap-Up Show. We're back with the Morning Wrap-Up Show. Call Gary and John now at 888-STERN-100. That's 888-STERN-100.
There's arguing going on, sir.
I mean, I get.
Oh, here he goes again.
I get to have an opinion. It's just an
here
opinion.
He goes again.
You don't have to like it, but it's an opinion. Oh, that's you, Robin. You have no idea. That's what the audience hears. That's what the audience hears from you.
The hell was she thinking?
And that's how this morning started. Now, Fred, did your eyes light like immediately? Did you realize what you had there?
I was just saying too, like Gary has had a really bad 24 hours. I mean, first he gets squirted by that chick, and then he gets he runs into the immovable force known as Robin. I mean, it's like. My hat's off to you, man. That was tough. But that's gold. That noise is gold. And Robin realized after I played it through, like about 10 times, she's going like, "Shit! If I knew I made that sound, it would have never come out of my mouth."
I wasn't getting what she was so pissed off about this morning. And Freddie, you've been in these meetings. Did it come up in the meeting last week that Daniel will be sitting in the booth or in one of the past meetings? It may or may not.
I cut out of the meeting early last week, so I wasn't privy to the seating arrangements.
Actually, Scott DePace is here, and he was part of that. So, Scott, what happened?
Well, no, yesterday we started to set up like we always do for the segment, and all of a sudden Scott, the engineer, said, no, Daniel's going to be inside Robin's booth.
And I told Scott and Ronnie, both of those guys, I told them last week. So my fault not to tell you guys.
But
okay.
That throws us in a total tailspin. We're trying to figure out how we're going to cover this thing, and it really sets us back. So I saw Robin. I said, Robin, did you know where Daniel's going to be? And she said, no, what do you mean? And I told her, he's going to be in your booth. And she freaked out and said, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. That's when we came and found you.
Yeah, I can understand why she'd be upset, though, because, I mean, if she finds out about it at the last minute, she's got a routine. She's always had a routine.
Okay, I got it.
And it would be the equivalent of telling Howard, listen, you can't sit behind the board.
Hold on a second. Fred, I get what you're saying, except I didn't tell her this morning. I should have told her earlier. You're right. She had 24 hours notice, okay? And,
I don't know if 24
and it's not
or 48 would have made a difference.
I don't know if a week would have made a difference.
Right.
She didn't want to move for whatever reason. Not my call. Howard and I discussed it, and Howard decided that this was the best way. This was for this wasn't like an affront to Robin. This was for the good of the show.
Right. No, I understand.
And
you
listen,
completely.
hey, Fred, if Howard says to you, you know what, Fred, you sit there every day, but for today, because I just think it works for me, I need Evil Dave to sit there, and you go, Howard, it throws me off, and he goes, Fred, I need you to do this for today. You're going to go, all right, I'll move.
Right.
You're not going to like it, but you're going to do it.
Exactly.
I wonder why she's never had a problem with Winfred's money.
And I brought that up. We moved her before. Listen, she doesn't love it. When I say, Robin, you're going to move, she'll be like, okay.
I think there's also a difference between like a 5-minute, 10-minute, or 15-minute, yanking.
You think it was because there was
booth,
audience there?
as opposed to like who knows how long it takes to set up the throne and all that other stuff like that.
If you weren't listening,
she's got a rhythm.
If you weren't listening very early, here's how it started.
Well, hey, we all got to put up with, we have a squeeze-tight situation.
And I got to sit, where? Where am I sitting?
I
Nobody
don't know.
even thought about where I was supposed to sit. They were like, oh,
to sit on the guest
where
couch.
are you going to be?
You're with
You're
Jeff
just right
Carver.
there.
I just found out yesterday.
I got a great
that this is
idea,
happening.
Howard.
Yeah.
Why doesn't she just shut up and stay in her booth? It's like, she's been complaining. I know, it sucks. I don't have an alternative situation, Robin. If you can come up with one. Otherwise, I have you sitting on the couch and I have him in there. We thought this was the best for what we're doing. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it.
Yeah, sit in your booth then. But we just don't have a place to put him, and we just want to keep him sort of separate from them. But
You have a problem with the redneck head of the Klan?
Howard,
Well, yeah, my things are in. I don't want him around my stuff.
So move
I
it.
give you a whole day's notice to clean it up.
yeah, what is it?
Clean it up. It's my purse, you jackass.
And that's pretty much how the morning started.
And I said, if you went further, I was like, yeah, because you can't move your purse in 5 minutes. I mean, it was a purse. I mean, it's not like she fucking put up aluminum siding and had to take it down.
And Howard was also complaining about where Evil Dave was sitting early on.
Which was also an interesting thing because George Takei has sat there. Bob Levy has sat there. Everybody that comes in to sit on the show sits there. Suddenly, Evil Dave, he notices. And I don't.
I wonder why.
Because he's taller.
He brought that up.
I have another joke.
He brought it up yesterday. Howard did that Benji was bothering him, and I was going to address it, but we were here till 6 o'clock last night.
Well, how would you address it?
I think I got to build a wall, some sort of.
But
a
what
wall.
changed? In other words, we've been here since January, right? So how is it? Did Benji get so fat that we're suddenly seeing him?
I think all the talk about Benji eating and stuff, it's starting to bother. He's in the eye line to Artie, so whenever Howard's looking at Artie,
and the person that sits in the guest chair, so many people have sat there. So why is Howard now suddenly noticing them?
Right. I don't. Well, I think Evil Dave again is a lot more disturbing than George Takei or Bob or whoever else has been there.
That's horrible, Scott.
I mean, surely.
That's my professional opinion.
Wait, hold on. Shuley sat there for most of the day yesterday, and Howard didn't notice him.
Right, because Shuley.
Neither did the audience.
But I mean, I just wanted to bring the audience into like some of the stuff. Like you do it, it works, and then when it doesn't work, the first time you hear about it is on the air.
Right.
You know, and I'm scrambling to try to make it better. But I mean, it wasn't like but listen, if Howard said to me at 1:06, what was I going to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, where would we have put him? We had. I mean, my issue that I wanted to come in here and talk about is that Bob, I guess he doesn't know the room real well, but he books. We had 29 guests. We had 12 comedians plus Bob. There is no room to put anyone in there.
Okay, first of all, like they tell me I book 15 guests. That's what I'm supposed to do every show, right?
So where'd the rest of them come from?
Howard gives out tickets. I give you the
He
list.
didn't give out 14 tickets.
I did.
I know
not,
we didn't.
I got every list from you guys. I put in 15 people.
He gave out
15 people. I book every time.
I put the squash on it pretty early on.
You know what? I got to say, and I've said this before, we might have to think on the TV side about hiring a director.
Dude, you don't know. That's it. Your lighting is going to be screwed up.
Yeah, like I'm going to look better or worse.
He's getting you back for that seatbelt stuff.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Mr. Gossip, Mr. Vociferous over here. Yeah. I looked over. I didn't know what to do. Laugh? It was so awkward.
That wasn't my line, but it was
like
awkward.
I'm embarrassed
I looked
in front of
over,
you.
It was like your grandma trying to get out of a couch, and you're trying to help her up.
Like I'm embarrassed in front of your redneck
ass. Doug in Indiana, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, now.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, is Lisa still in there?
She's right here.
Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Lisa. I'm a young white guy, and I'll fuck you for sure.
Yeah, but, it's not. I'm not saying I can't get a white guy. I'm saying I can't get a good white guy with a great job and no kids. I don't want your sorry redneck get-her-done ass.
Hang on. How about this?
All right, go ahead, stupid.
2 o'clock at the Hilton. I'll bring the rubbers. You bring the Viagra and the roofies.
See, anybody who needs Viagra, forget about it. I could bang Levy if I wanted a guy who needs Viagra.
And you will, baby.
All right, thank you for the voters' confidence. Now I'll really kill myself.
Bam Bam in Ohio, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, guys, pretty good show today. Lisa, I first seen you on that Pam Anderson roast.
Yeah.
That was great. And I'll tell you, I'm in love with you. You're a great comedian. You're good to be on the roast. You do a great job.
Thanks, buddy. Keep listening. Bob Levy's going to redeem himself next time. Trust me.
We're gonna have Lisa back.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, 12 comedians, I think that's just a little too much. You get somebody like that in there that you really want to hammer. You want like 6 and 10 comedians just rip that guy a new asshole, Artie was good in there and Shuley and that, but what I wanted to tell Gary and that, hey, when we get around to Artie's roast, you have got to get Norm in there, and if there's any way on earth, get Don Wrinkles in there.
Don Wrinkles?
Oh, that's a good new name for him. That's great.
Did you do that on purpose or just fuck up his name?
Was that a pun?
I mean, fuck Artie, that fat fucker.
Wait a minute.
What? He was just giving you a compliment.
Yeah.
You've just been insulted by
Artie,
a Flintstones
Artie, I hope you ever come around Ohio, around Toledo. I'd love to see you, buddy. I love your comedy and all that.
This guy's Tourette's. He don't know what he's... You love him or hate him?
Thank you, buddy.
I love him. He's good. It's just like, I'm thinking like Norm would just eat him up, and if you could get Wrinkles in there, that would be the show. Man.
Sir, the question is, are you saying Wrinkles on purpose as a joke, or is that what you think his name is?
I'm sorry now?
Say the comedian's name, Don. Say
whatever.
That.
Don who?
The bald guy.
What's his name? Don what, dude?
Don Wrinkles. the old guy that was in the movie with
Okay.
Dirty work. Okay.
He's not joking.
But that's hilarious, dude.
That is, I think you inadvertently just made a funny joke.
I think Don Wrinkles might actually be available for this roast.
But you know, the guy also actually made a pretty interesting point. The point was, even everybody that killed today, nobody ripped Daniel one. You know, he said you got to get 6 intense comedians in there and rip him one. He was hard to rip.
Well, because he's his own punchline.
Right.
He is a laughable guy with horrible views, so it's really hard to make fun of those views in a non-preachy way. Right. I had some jokes that were way too preachy. I just cut them out. You don't, hey, racist guy, it's horrible.
Hey,
it's a very tough thing.
Can I say something, Gary? That's where I think the black comedians dropped the ball. It was their opportunity to really lace into him and give them some good stuff. And unfortunately, they didn't go there. And that's what I think caused this thing to collapse.
Yeah, they just threatened his life, which is where he wants you to go, which is really stupid.
Nash from Dallas, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, yeah, I hear everybody saying, like, the black comedians dropped the ball, but why didn't you get, like, a better quality black comedian, like a Paul Mooney or somebody that would really...
Let me tell you something. Paul Mooney, love the guy, but I got to tell you, Earthquake's a good comedian. Corey Holcomb was a great comedian. I mean, we had quality comedians.
Yeah, they are A-level dudes. I think the problem is you need great roasters who happen to be black, not great blacks who happen to kind of nigger rig the roast.
And I'll tell you something too. I think,
for lack of a better word,
I think Paul Mooney would have gotten a little preachy.
Oh, absolutely. It could have been funny, though. It could have been hardcore.
Sal, do you feel like you redeemed yourself once again today? You did a really nice job.
That's all he sees. He didn't even know that there was a bad
You know what? I can only imagine when I do bad. I mean, because even when I do good, I get hammered. So I don't know. It was just a great opportunity to be up there, and if the people laugh, it's good. That's all.
So you felt good? A lot better than yesterday?
I felt good, but
no one's hammering you.
No, I just, I don't know. Maybe it's just my insecurities.
It is.
Yeah. I had a great time, and it was a good roast. Like I said, I wanted to see Gilbert so bad destroy, and he took a cheap ploy. He just went to the internet with those jokes.
Well, he didn't go to the internet. He tried. I mean, it was an angle he took that didn't work. I don't think it was lazy. I think it was an angle that he tried that just didn't work.
He tried to do the joke of, like, here's jokes you might laugh at, but we hate. Right.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. But the point I wanted to make about how we have an unfair advantage, like a classic example of that is... Like, the two jokes I made on Howard involve his plastic surgery and the blower in his fucking limo. Now, who else is going to know that? You know what I mean?
Okay, but if you can't goof on Howard Stern, I mean, just...
but say you're the 8th guy up and every Howard Stern joke is done, you know?
But every
you
Howard
got to
Stern,
know details about it.
But every Howard Stern joke wasn't done. It was a Daniel Carver roast. Some people didn't even do Howard jokes at all.
A couple people tried with the big nose stuff, and,
Sal took a big shot at Howard.
On which one? The Beth
O one?
That was great. Win Howard's money?
Yeah, race between Les Moonves and Beth Ostrowski.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you.
Sal, and by the way, nobody's giving you a shot.
No,
Everybody's saying you're fantastic.
I'm just saying, I don't... Exactly. No, I'm just saying that, it's nice. I'm really proud of it.
He's not used to somebody saying something nice about him.
Yeah, I'm just not used to it, which is okay.
I can understand that.
And that's also good.
All right, we got to take a break. Our next segment, we'll trash Sal. You're listening to the wrap-up show on Howard 100 and Howard 101.
You're listening to the Morning Wrap-Up Show. We're back with the Morning Wrap-Up Show. Call Gary and John now at 888-STERN-100. That's 888-STERN-100.
Welcome back to the wrap-up show. Daniel Carver roast post-game, it feels like. 888-STERN-100. That's the number to call if you want to jump in. Let's go to Mike in New York. Mike, you're on the wrap-up show.
What's up? I think today's show was genius because the only way to compete with yesterday's best show ever was to have the worst show ever. So I think it worked. I mean, I couldn't stop thinking of the fucking machines, but this did it. So it's a good show. And Paul Mooney is a genius. So that's it.
Thanks, Mike. Definitely ran the gamut between yesterday and today. Not in terms of good and bad, but just where the show's going to go. I mean, look what happened yesterday in the studio, and look what happened today in the studio. Let's go to Jim in Allentown. Jim, you're on the wrap-up show.
Yeah, hi. I think I know what went wrong today in the roast. There's just not that many white jokes out there. I mean, you had a bunch of, basically minority people in there. There's plenty of minority jokes, and there's just not that many white jokes out there.
He's right in a way, because oftentimes people come up to me after my shows and are like, why don't you make fun of white people more? And I'm like, what am I supposed to say? Hey, how you doing, bank president? I mean, it's a lot harder to make fun of white people because we have jobs.
Yeah, but he's a redneck, though.
Well, yeah, but that's limited too, because there's 4 redneck qualities, and what else is there?
I don't know. Jeff Foxworthy's made a whole career off of doing redneck jokes. Larry the Cable Guy is a millionaire.
Oh, yeah.
Bob in Philly, you're on the wrap-up show.
Yeah, I think the funnier part would be to find out, how'd that guy get there? Does he get there in that outfit?
No, no. And if you missed the show earlier, we talked about it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We'll talk about it again. I guess it was a miscommunication. He did bring the outfit up, but nobody spoke to him yesterday to tell him to bring the outfit. So he showed up here in like that little short sleeve shirt that with the pen holder in it.
Members only.
And then we sent him back to the hotel to get the outfit.
And Howard had a great line. He's like, "If you didn't, what did you bring it for? If you weren't going to bring it to the show, you know."
Walking down the streets of New York, I hope.
No.
Get Scott to pace on that immediately. That would be a good on-demand television show.
What'd you think of the roast, Bob?
I thought it was good. I mean, there was the other two I think were better, but it was good. It was right up there. It was Artie. He was funny. I mean, what are you going to do? Like the guy you're roasting, there's not much else you could say about him. The funny, like I said, just let him walk up and down New York in that outfit.
So let me ask you a question.
That's a good idea.
If we were going to roast somebody next, who would you want it to be?
I kind of agree with what you're saying. I mean, you know who's there. I mean, I guess they say you, but
So are you excited about the idea of a KC roast coming up?
Yeah, but Casey's like out of the program a little bit. Like I was going to ask this question, and not to be stupid again, but it's like all these other new listeners that are coming on, they don't know how you even got Baba Booey, and how are you going to get that out to the people? Like that's classic shit there.
I think there's a portion of people that fit that bill, but I think most of the people that are here are people that came with us. And you're right, we do have some new listeners that don't know who Casey is and don't know how I became Baba Booey and all that stuff.
Ruben in Memphis, you're on the wrap-up show.
You guys doing a great job on the after show.
Thanks, Ruben.
Hey, I like Shuley, Sal, but I must say Yucko was no good on mic, but off mic he was great with that horn. Every time somebody bombed, he'd hit the horn like it was almost deflated or something.
So you hated Yucko, loved the horn? That's what you're saying?
So bring back the horn, Bob Levy.
I'll have the horn next roast.
There it is.
My friggin' ear.
Hey, Bowie, I had some suggestions that could have made that show better. Is it possible that maybe Bernie Mac or Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle could have sent in?
Sure,
or George Bush.
Yeah, exactly. They'll bring in the president.
Clinton.
Yeah, sure. Those guys are, at $100,000 a pop. There'll be
Brad
no problem.
Pitt, Angelina Jolie.
Brian and
Mel Gibson next week.
Brian in Toronto, you're on the wrap-up show.
Fucking people.
Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Levy, why don't you call your good buddy Chris Rock?
I know.
That's it.
Yeah, but
Chris
the point
Levy,
being,
who?
but don't even think just because they're famous that they're going to be funny.
Right.
Trust me,
exactly.
I've seen all those guys do rows, and they suck a cock like everybody else who was in there today.
Harrison
so you know
Ford,
what?
This is Bob Levy.
Why ain't you calling me back?
Brian, you're on the wrap-up show.
Yeah. Did anybody have to walk that guy up to keep people from beating the shit out of him?
No, we just took Yucko right downstairs. He was fine.
Actually, what I did was, we have 2 green rooms here at the new place. So what I did is I took Daniel out immediately, put him in a green room, shut the door, and let everybody blow by. We had stuff to record with him anyway. So yeah, I sort of keep him sequestered. But Daniel's one of those guys you're not going to get any violence out of him, and if you hit him, you're just playing right into his hands.
Wheels in Bristol, you're on the wrap-up show.
Well, I think Levy learned something today. Never hire a black guy again to do a job.
Oh, jeez.
And you think the niggers would have learned to study?
Daniel, we know it's you. Stop it.
Let's go to Charlie in Jersey. Charlie, you're on the wrap-up show. Charlie, you there? No Charlie. Patrick in Dallas, you're on the wrap-up show.
Yeah, hey, I think you guys were kind of touching on. I think you took on an easy target that only had so many levels that you could work with. I think you need to skip Scott. You need to go right to the big 4 because everybody knows them. Everybody likes them. A roast is supposed to take the piss out of people. Everybody's already heard it, and everybody hates Daniel. We already know that.
So who are the big 4?
Who do you think it should be?
Artie, Howard, Robin, and Fred.
Okay, which one of the 4 would you pick for the next roast?
I guess start with Artie because he's the newest guy of the bunch, and just work and also no once a month things. Make these things farther apart so people can actually put some work into them. And Artie, you got to retire that burping and smelling cock joke. I've heard it every roast.
Well, I just did it because of the black cock.
I got it. I got you, brother. I love you.
I just wanted to.
Hey, fuck all that crap going to the psych. All the 12-step program. Be who you are, Artie. Because if you don't love you for who you are, then you don't love him.
So what if you're a serial killer?
Jesus, all right.
Oh, boy.
Patrick in Dallas with words of wisdom. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the Wrap-Up Show on Howard 100 and Howard 101.
You're listening to the Morning Wrap-Up Show. Call 888-STERN-100. 888-STERN. We're back with the Morning Wrap-Up Show. Call Gary and John now at 888-STERN-100. That's 888-STERN-100.
Dave Letterman, everybody, here this morning. A little freer on satellite, able to say what he wants to say. He doesn't have to sit and do that wacky persona he does on TV where he's shocked by everything.
Let's not get into that.
Be evil.
Yeah, you could really be evil, Dave.
Is it just me, or is that Alexis Smith a little cunty?
Alexis
Stewart.
Alexis Stewart. Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
You were doing good, and what happens is the better you do, the more you keep doing. You take a breather.
All right, sure.
And slow down for a few minutes.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Welcome back to the Wrap-Up Show. Lisa Lampanelli, Bob Levy, Fred, Artie, Sal, Gary. How great is Evil Dave?
I love him. I just love him. I love him for all his warts and all.
Every time he screws up, it's just too funny. Artie, what's it like sitting next to him for the show?
What? Wonderful. No, I agree. When he hits a joke, it's funny, and when he misses one, it might even be fucking funny.
I mean, listen, I'm not giving anything away by saying that, we here write most of the material for him, and he reads it, and I still think that, to me, the greatest line ever was, we asked him, we said something, and he goes, well, that Pamela Anderson, she's got a public wing. And we all just looked at each other, and we realized it was a pubic wig.
When he got into that thing where we let him explain his bit fart against real fart.
I didn't catch that.
Oh God, it was a bit he came up with for the show, and I thought I could have listened to an hour of it.
I mean, the conversations happen over and over again where we're like, Will works with Evil Dave with the material the day before to try to get him prepped, and we're sort of like, Evil Dave, here's the material. Don't fuck with Shakespeare. You know what I mean? Right. And Evil Dave wants to be a comedy writer in the worst way, so we say, just stick with what we got here. This works. And he always veers off into his own material, and I think the audience can figure out what's his and what is ours.
Within the first 5 words.
Roger in Maryland, you're on the Wrap-Up Show. Roger.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, this roast wasn't quite up to the first 2, but hey, it was still great entertainment. You guys having a bad day is hands down better than anything else on the dial.
And again, I still say watching somebody bomb is interesting. No one shows that to you. It's just interesting. We're certainly not turning our heads away from it.
I mean, Gary, you thought watching Modi bomb was interesting?
I loved it. I loved every second of it.
That might have been one I could have done without.
See, I disagree. And I'll tell you why.
He was really bad.
I'll tell you, Fred. Here's the deal. Some people bombed on the roast today. Some people bombed because they were unprepared. Some people bombed because they took a tack that didn't work. Modi was completely prepared. He had notes, and he buzzed through it, and it bombed. And that, to me, is a fascinating thing to hear or watch.
But to all of you guys, if you're doing like shtick like that and it's not working, don't you?
That's
cut
what's
bait?
Fascinating. That he didn't cut. He didn't bail it. He never pulled the ripcord.
Silence.
No. He's a very funny guy.
He
but
is funny.
To pull out a thing like that song, but also, he gave everybody fodder to do the song Callback, which you got big laughs off of. So you know what? Fuck it. He really is a funny guy.
He is very funny.
I work with him a lot, and he kills. But so if you kill a lot, you keep thinking you could get them back. So you might just go. And the thing is, you just want to. If you're bombing, you just want to get one laugh to get off with. You know what I mean?
Watching his routine today was like at the end of the Titanic when it flips over and everybody's going down.
Yeah.
That's what happened, and everyone got caught in the vortex.
Oh, God.
Mike in Milwaukee, you're on the Wrap-Up Show.
Hey, stop apologizing. It was a great show. I mean, certainly there were parts of it that were brutal, but I'm with Gary. It's fun to listen to a guy totally bomb. I mean, I understand you feel a responsibility to put a funny product out, but no, it was great. Yucko killed. Sal was very smart to go against what everyone was going to do, and I was stunned. I was looking forward to the black guys ripping into this, and they were hard. It was like a game of pickup basketball where you picked all the black guys thinking you were going to kill, and they all sucked.
Good analogy.
Billy in Atlanta, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hello?
Hey, Billy.
Yeah. I was going to say, not the worst thing about it was the roast. Yeah, you're roasting the guy from the South, y'all. Everybody just kept saying what a piece of shit he was. And, I mean, y'all needed more of a Southern mentality. I mean, more of a redneck type joke. Everybody was just sitting there trying to...
Okay, let me translate that into English. Here's what he's trying to say. I think he actually makes a great point if he wasn't talk retarded. If you hired like a redneck comic, too, who would take a spin on either I agree with him or disagree, could have been really funny. That's a good idea.
And the other thing he's saying is it's not funny to just say you suck.
Yeah, or hey, I want to fight you. I mean,
but that's what Sal did.
Yeah, but I'm not a redneck.
Yeah, right.
Suzanne in upstate New York, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hi. I think that Robin would be a great person to roast.
Yeah, she'll be soon.
I hope so.
How do you guys think Robin will handle being roasted?
Well, I think on the show she'll handle it well, but I think it's tough. It's Lisa, you're one of the few women I know who's sort of Teflon, and I don't know how you got that way, but I think that it can when you're the only woman in a room full of guys, it can get tough quickly. Yeah, I know she's got a great disposition. I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm saying that she handles it well, but I don't know. How do you think that would go, Artie?
I think Robin has been on this show long. I think Lisa got that way kind of because she was born maybe with an easygoing attitude and years of doing comedy. And Robin's been on the show where you need Robin's been on the show where you need the thickest skin ever for a while. So I think she could deal with it.
Yeah, but it's one thing to Robin takes a shot here and there. It's another thing for a parade of comedians to come up and just start peppering you.
Right. Well, and then it's the woman factor. You don't want to totally disrespect the broad.
Yeah, I'm glad you held back on me today, Artie.
No, but he's quite frankly.
No, it's like when you're another.
I made two jokes. I said people mistake me for you.
Yeah, no, that was hilarious, dude. I want to use that
because that really happened.
Hey, guys, take it easy.
No, but what's funny is I don't think women are funny because you can't you have to be able to shit on them as much as the guys. You want to be in this comedy arena, grow a set of balls and take it like a man. I'm sick and tired of these broads getting a pass, but also it's a little different because Robin isn't a comic, so to have guys hammering her, it might feel bad to her in her heart.
Right.
Fred, how do you think Robin would handle it?
Probably like what was happening this morning at 6:05.
Which would be great, by the way.
I think I'll be getting a lot more tape.
Now, we've had this discussion before about who should be roasted in the future, and Fred has come up, and then there's this shudder of fear amongst the room. I mean, you said bring it on, right, Fred?
I say bring it on, although... Having said that, I think the one guy I would love to see this would be my dream roast to see, whether it's in person or not or in absentia, Jackie the Joke Man.
That's
that
perfect.
would be like the pièce de resistance.
See, that's
of all
where it's great
roasts.
because Jackie could respond and Jackie
Exactly.
could get up. You know what?
He's like the perfect roastie.
But would he do it? You think he would really do it? I mean, I would love to. Have
you know what?
I even asked him to come down.
I'm done begging Jackie to come and do the show.
Exactly.
You know what?
I asked him to roast, and he was like, "Email me." You know what I mean?
Pay me.
Bob, you can pull that together, right?
What, Jackie?
Yeah.
I'll
They'd
do my
have to
best.
kidnap. Call Chris Rock and Chappelle and call Jackie.
When I get off the phone with Mel Gibson, I'll see what I can do.
Jake in Manhattan, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, guys, the last few, since you guys got to Sirius, it's been the best shows ever. From Andrew Dice Clay to Beetlejuice screaming at Artie for being a Jew. Today I was glued to it. I was glued to the show, and it was just like the first time I was like, okay, not every day's going to work. And so what? It was unbelievable. And it's Jake, by the way, it's Jake Fogelnest.
Hey, Joke, what's up? Jake. Jake used to work with us at K-Rock.
Yeah, and thank you. I owe you guys my job. I'm working over at the well, I guess what do I call it on here?
No, you can plug it. Don't worry. Jake, who do you want to see roasted next? If you had to pick one person from the show, who would it be?
Who would I roast next?
Yeah.
I got to say, I really think Robin, because I think Robin would surprise everybody. She's been on the show forever. She can totally handle her own, and I think that she would come back pretty strong, because Robin can be vicious.
Okay. Well, Robin seems to have gotten the vote here. I've got to wrap up the wrap-up show.
I want to say I'm very happy to have made the Big Four.
Yeah, and I feel a little shut out.
Yeah, I want to thank two of the Big Four that are here, Fred and Artie, and also Gary, plus Lisa Lampanelli, Reverend Bob Levy, Shuley, Sal, everybody who came down. You've been listening to the wrap-up show only on Howard 100 and Howard 101.
You're listening to the Morning Wrap-Up Show with Gary Delabate and John Hine. Stay tuned now for Howard 100 News, live at noon, exclusively on Howard 100.